welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the number one podcast in Colorado Springs.
Today, our highlighted sponsor is actually none other than Neon Pig. And who's our guest today?
Laura Schnarr.
With the pig herself.
Yes. A partner in Neon Pig Creative. Thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we got to talking a little bit like before this and you're
spoiler alert.
Essentially a Colorado Springs native. You've been here since you're 6 months old.
Yeah. Close enough. You know, I don't like to count the couple months that I wasn't here. But yeah, don't remember moving here. Grew up in Colorado Springs on the north side and went to, all the school, Palmer High School downtown, go Terrors.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I love Colorado, man. I tried to move out. I tried to move to Fort Collins when I went to college, went to CSU Fort Collins, which I loved as well. But nothing was like Colorado Springs, man.
I love it.
You can relate to that.
I also lived in Fort Collins once upon a time working for a marketing agency.
Did you? Yeah. Beautiful city, but just not the same as the Springs.
It's very different. Yeah, completely different than the Springs. But there's nothing like pulling up and seeing Pikes Peak like right in your face.
Absolutely.
Even today, I love it so much. You're so true. And our city's been growing so much. You've been here for a good amount of time, majority of your life. Talk a little bit about like how much the Springs has actually changed since you've been here. And I mean, you moved away for a quick stint, but like how it's changed over the years.
Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, for a lot of it, I was a kid. But your world is only so big at that point. But I do remember, driving up and down Academy and there was nothing. And I was at like Academy and Union and that was the north side of town. Wow. And we were at the most north side of town that you could get. And Powers was still a lot of dirt road. And my mom always said, yeah, I think that Colorado Springs is going to grow a lot. And we, didn't really care at that age. Mm-hmm. But after I came back from college and I knew that I wanted to get into graphic design and marketing, I saw everything happening here and I saw the housing market going crazy and I saw businesses coming to want to be here. And now owning a business, I see all of these new businesses popping up everywhere, which is just so inspiring. I mean, it's not just chains, back when I was a kid, it's like, should we go to dinner, Chili's or Applebee's? And now we have all of these amazing local businesses that we get to go and support and they're way better. So
is that why your dad loves Applebee's so much?
Yeah, that's exactly why. My dad's an Applebee's
He's there right now, I think.
Fanatic. Whatever city.
Dollar margaritas.
Okay.
That's probably exactly what it is, actually. Oh my gosh, Laura. We lived all over growing up. My mom was an executive newspaper industry and he would always take us to Applebee's. So you have anybody visiting from out of town, don't go to the local, just go to Applebe's. That's my dad's whole
That is
shtick.
so funny.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? It's crazy. But so when we were researching you, we saw you have a whole rap sheet of like different types of marketing experiences, different types of agencies you worked at, different types of jobs you have. So what got you into the creative space? It sounds like you got out of college, but like tell us a little bit more about like your actual career, how it started and everything as well.
Man, it's been a wild ride, to be honest. And honestly, I feel like my whole career has been sort of just flying by the seat of my pants. Mm-hmm. So I went to Fort Collins as a fine arts major, and I was studying photography and actually 3D fine art. And I've quickly realized that I had no idea how I was going to make money doing that. Mm-hmm. My mom had done drawing and stuff as a kid. So that's kind of what got me into the art scene. And I have artists in the family. I had no idea how to make money though. So I came back to Colorado Springs, actually went to Pikes Peak Community College. And that's where I found graphic design. And I fell in love with it immediately. A big piece that I was really drawn to was the marketing side, specifically the psychology of being able to understand your target audience, what drives them, how you are solving problems for them, not just selling them stuff, but like solving problems in their everyday life. And so I actually went for a couple extra years to study marketing and really get a grasp on the psychology and the psychographics of audiences. So that's really what my passion leads from. Yes, I'm also a designer. Yes, I have that education, but I love finding the strategy behind it. So when I first left college, I ended up getting my first job, which was really the only job that I actually had to apply for. I've been really lucky in that sense. And it was with Wendy's of Colorado Springs. So I was doing local marketing for all of the Wendy's from Pueblo to Castle Rock.
How do you get that?
I don't even know, man.
We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Skip the healthcare hassle with Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Direct primary care for a simple monthly fee, putting health first. No insurance needed. Experience personalized care that's as unique as every individual. Visit pinnacleapc.com to learn more. That's pinnacleapc.com. Franchise succeed.
Grow any business with Franchise Succeed. From development to expansion, turning small businesses into national brands through franchising. Start scaling up with a free consultation at franchisesucceed.com today. That's franchisesucceed.com.
Planet Duct. Breathe easier with Planet Duct, Colorado Springs' premier air duct cleaning service. Powerful vacuum trucks rid homes of allergens and dust. Clear the air by visiting planetduct.com. That's planetduct.com. Epic Eyewear.
Elevate style with Epic Eyewear. Innovative designs meet unmatched quality, ensuring a great look and better vision. Discover your next pair of shades at epiceyewear.com. That's epiceyewear.com, spelled EPOCH, eyewear.com.
And we're running a special discount right now, Andrew. It's COSBP 15 for 15% off your
15% off your freaking order at epiceyewear.com. We're wearing the sunglasses right now. If you're watching, listening on the audio, definitely check out the video so you can see and check out how epic they are. EPOCH.
Eyewear.com.
Eyewear.com.
Now we will get back to this episode.
It was wild. I just applied for it, and I am an overachiever. I'm a 3 in Enneagram. I'm not sure if you guys are Enneagram.
I don't know that.
Not people, but it's this personality test, and everything I do, I'm an overachiever and a perfectionist. So in the interview, I brought in, fresh out of college, dressed to the nines, go to the Wendy's headquarters on Palmer Park and Academy.
Okay.
And I show them a pitch deck of all of this entire marketing strategy that I could do for Wendy's. And they were like, what do we do? Like, we haven't had a person come in at this level, entry-level job trying to show this. And so I got it pretty quick, and it was awesome. I get to do as much strategic work as I wanted to? No, but I also had the experience of working for a huge nationwide, corporation, working within brand standards, things like that. But from there, I ended up getting a really large network, finding some really great people and friends at agencies that then I sort of started just having these doors open for me through the people that I knew and friends in the community.
That's pretty cool. And we knew you since we were formerly in like the whole 365 grand atmosphere or world, I guess, because we were over at Sanders Law Firm at that building. You had a job there as well, right? Talk a little bit about that, because that's like a whole, there's a lot of properties and stores and restaurants that that whole conglomerate owns, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah, no, not as many are under there now. Actually, I can give 365 grand properties a huge thank you because they are the reason for that Neon Pig is here today. So I actually met my business partner, Colin Christie, at volleyball. We played volleyball together and we met through a mutual friend. And he was the creative director for Perry Sanders at 365 grand properties. He said, hey, I'm trying to grow my marketing department and I need a marketing director. I think that you're the perfect fit. We get along. And, I think that we could really have these good skills that complement each other. So he brought me on there, and we oversaw the marketing for all of these properties. There was 3 or 4 restaurants, 2 hotels, a car club.
The car club was where 3E's is.
Yes,
right now.
Yeah. It used to be Johnny Martin's.
Yeah.
We had the office spaces, and then this kind of overarching thing called 365 Grand Club, which was this membership club to be a part of. And then also the Gold Room, which was a lot of fun because we had a lot of musical acts that we got to work with and do posters for. And so we were a marketing department of 3. We had a creative director, a marketing director, and a graphic designer. And we ran all of the media plans, all of the creative, all of the messaging, social media accounts, everything for all of those properties between the 3 of us. It was very challenging. It was so much fun though. We almost had our own little, we called it, Perry's Paradise in the middle of downtown Colorado Springs, of, 2 of the most gorgeous hotels in the city. And we had a lot of fun getting to work in the hospitality industry and did some really cool work there.
That is super cool. I did not know that whole story. That's really cool. So So obviously you're working with Colin, right? Great friend, by the way. Shout out to Colin. So how did it come about with you guys starting Neon Pig? You were working together and then...
Yeah. Colin and I were working together. At the time, I was also the president of the board of directors for the American Advertising Federation, which is a local networking organization for people in the advertising industry. I was president of the board. Colin was a board member with me. And then Michael Okonya, who at the time owned his own agency called Root Spring, was also on our board. And we started to, work together in that nonprofit sense, just on a board of directors. And then we had the opportunity to do this public service project for a nonprofit in town where we donated all of our skills and time for a nonprofit through that organization. And so we worked together on this big project for Early Connections Learning Centers. And we realized, man, like the three of us have perfectly complementing skill sets. Michael is a genius, and I do not use that word lightly, a genius web developer. Colin is an amazing and genius typography designer. He's a muralist. He does a lot of fine art, and he's a brilliant copywriter. And then I have this strategy background where I want to find the reason that people are coming to us and how we can speak to them in different ways and how we can really help them in everyday life. And so the three of us working on these projects, we found that, man, we work really well together. Mike was actually looking to expand his agency at the time and wasn't sure how to do it on his own. So he actually approached Colin and I, invited us to Bonton's in Old Colorado City. Wow. All about the local spots, man. And asked us if we'd be interested in joining him. And honestly, it was like no hesitation. We were like, hell yeah. I had wanted to own my own company. I knew I wanted to. As a kid, I always said, I want to own my own company by the time I'm 25. I was 27. So, close. But we did it and took about a year to get our ducks in a row, find our name, get our branding together. And we actually approached 365 Grand Properties and said, hey, we are going to be leaving. Would love to keep you as a client. Gave them a presentation of what that would look like. They ended up deciding to go with an in-house agency, which is fine. That's understandable.
Right.
But we decided to sort of go our own ways, and we haven't looked back since.
My gosh, that's so. And you've mentioned so many cool things, especially for your background and what you do. And you say you hit like peeled layers back, and you really develop the strategy and maybe like the rhetoric behind the design, which is really cool. Talk a little bit about like why that's so important in the overall process, and of course, like when you're delivering a product to a client as well.
My entire vision of marketing shifted when I had this professor that said, a lot of people will give you crap for going into graphic design because they think that you're just going to sell shit to people. And I was like, well, I don't want people thinking that. I want to just do something that I love. He said, okay, we'll take that and tell stories with it, because that's how people create a brand loyalty. That's why people want to buy stuff. That's why we, unfortunately, we are a consumer-based community and society. But focus on the telling stories, focus on solving problems. And so that's how I've approached everything. I think that every small business, every business has a story to tell. And when we look at it as a business, we are sort of being this hero in someone's day. We're helping them provide for their family. We're helping them give something to someone else. They're helping them do something, and telling that story should be at the forefront. And so we want to make sure that we are helping them find that platform that they can tell the story on. And then I love the idea of that same professor also asked, like, who's your favorite brand? And tell me why. And I'm a big Nike person. Okay. I grew up, playing sports, and I'm still an athlete. And everything that I have is Nike. And so I'm like, I love Nike. And they're like, well, why? And I'm like, because the clothes are great. I like their shoes. He's like, no, but how does it make you feel? I said, man, it makes me feel like empowered. Every time I put on my Nike shoes, I feel like I can run farther. I feel like I, look better, feel better. And so he's like, that's what you're selling. That's what we're trying to communicate. That's how we tell stories in graphic design and marketing. So that's what I kind of try to focus on with everything that we do at Neon Pig.
Oh, I love that. And it's so cool because if you think about like the Nike swoosh or the little apple, right? They're so simple, and they can be seen any size, any color. on any background, you can recognize her right away. And there's something to be said about that simplicity that they've worked down to, like the swoosh. And you're right. There's something to be said about that, right? When you put on your Nike shoes to run.
Yep.
I'm an Under Armour guy, but like my girlfriend loves Nike, so I buy her Nikes, and she loves the Nike brand, and I totally get it. And that's so cool for you to, I mean, and is that really hard to pull out of the client sometimes too? Because I know, like with my marketing background, I'm asking advertising questions and maybe some things about numbers and
Goals,
stuff like
KPIs.
that, all these different things. How much, does a sale, like how much are you willing to spend for one sale or whatever it might be? A lot of these business owners might not know the answers to those questions. So a lot of it's like, hey, like be prepared. I'm going to ask some questions, but come prepared because we need this to tell the story of what we're trying to do here. And I think that's so cool. And so do you have a lot of those experiences as well?
Yeah, we have a whole session that when we are onboarding a branding client, we call it the brand dig. And it's 3 hours long. And it's a long session, but it's crafted around how I put it is we find the soul of your brand, and it asks really deep questions about, it's not just who are you, what do you do, but we do dig a lot deeper. And it's just having, much like what we're doing right now, these types of conversations, but with our client and about what they are providing and how they're helping people in their everyday life and how we want to make sure that we're communicating that. And so a lot of clients will get up after that and be like, man, I feel like I just got out of a therapy session. And it's like, good. That's the goal. We want to get to that deeper emotional level, not just, we sell shoes.
Yeah.
Well, let's flip that. That's what we can ask on this podcast about your business. What does your business make people feel like? What is the story behind Neon Pig?
Yeah, that's usually the first question I get in these types of interviews.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, our big philosophy is that we want to work hard, play hard, love what we do, and help businesses really at any size be able to find that way to tell their story. We know that a lot of businesses, they're not in the mindset of marketing and communicating and telling their story. They're in the business of selling their product or providing their service. And so we can help, provide that outside perspective of, okay, how are we going to tell your story? How do we make it look the best as possible? And how do we make them feel that? So, everything from naming to branding to websites, that's all part of the story that we're telling. And that's what we help. We kind of we use a lot of pig puns. So we help our clients bring home the bacon.
Nice.
We also have the neon stuff with Neon Pig. And so, we help your brand shine bright like a neon sign in the dark sky. We help your brand sizzle. Those are all kind of the same meaning of like, we help you really tell your story.
Yeah. And it's been around are you guys going on 6 years then?
Gosh, 2018. So you do the math.
6 years? That's about 6 years now.
Yeah, we're in our 7th year.
Nice.
Yeah. Colin would be really mad at me for not knowing that off the top of my head.
All right, so let's clip that and send it to Colin.
Yeah. What the heck? Well, I'm sure there's been a lot of different things along that journey that you've learned as an entrepreneur owning a business, right? And talk a little bit about like that journey in the past 6-7 years of having an agency that's, become very prominent in our town.
Yeah, we have honestly feel so fortunate when we kind of let the news out that the three of us were joining forces. All of us had our own networks and all of these different kind of pockets in the community. And so when we announced that we were joining forces, we got this huge community uproar. I mean,
that's cool.
Colorado Springs Independent wrote an article about it. We got all of this just free press coming at us that we didn't expect or ask for it. It just came because they all just know how passionate and great
reputation
we were.
Everything.
Yeah. And so we have been really fortunate of just riding that wave and being, we have built a culture that we just want to do work for people that we care about, with people that we care about things that we care about. And so every day we can come in and be working on something that we are passionate about with people that we actually want to spend 75% of our time with. You know, we've created this team of people that we want to hang out with. We want to go to a Switchbacks game with and stuff like that. So it's, you know, obviously as a business owner, you do have the highs and lows. You have slower months. You have, employees come and leave and come and everything like that. But we just focus on doing all of it. You know, the three of us, Colin, Mike, and I, we focus on making sure that we're being the best friends that we can to each other. You know, one of the coolest things that came right when we opened, the first year that we opened, I actually was going through a divorce. And then 2 years later, my dad died. Oh. And in between there, I had ACL surgery, and it was a really, really, really hard couple of years for me. And after my dad died, I was broken. I had a really hard time coming back to work. And I went to Colin and Mike and I just said, like, guys, I can't be strategic. I can't be creative right now. My mind is shut off. Like I am depressed. I am going through stuff, and I can't be the business partner that you guys need. And they, like, no hesitation, just said, don't worry. Like, you don't have to, like, you come back when you're ready. You do what you need to do to heal for you and process what you need to do, and be healthy, and then come back when you're ready. And so I just did our billing and did some production work for several months. And they gave me so much grace. And that's the kind of work environment that we have made sure that we wanted to foster, and seeing that the way that they were there for me for that, we've done that. So
that's beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. For people to have your back when you're in the most vulnerable moments of your life, and it's just like things trickling in, like one thing after another, and to know that people are going to be there, like, dude, don't even ask twice. Like, I got your back. Like, that's so important.
I'm not
and you're
lose
so
my job.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose my friends. Yeah.
That's such a big blessing to have something like that. And I don't know if you've ever had partnerships in the past, but like, that's hard to come by, especially if it's one of your first partnerships, to have people who have your back. We'd like to take a quick moment and thank our sponsors.
Redefine Mortgages.
Redefine the home buying experience with Redefine Mortgages. Custom solutions, transparent advice, and even seamless process. Start the journey to home ownership at redefinemortgages.com. That's redefinemortgages.com.
Neon Pig Creative. Bring brands to life with Neon Pig Creative. Dazzling designs and strategic marketing make businesses stand out. Spark creativity at neonpigcreative.com. That's neonpigcreative.com.
Exponential Impact. Fuel startup success with Exponential Impact. Mentorship, resources, and support available to amplify impact. Join a community of change makers at exponentialimpact.com.
That's exponentialimpact.com.
Fast Signs.
Fast Signs can help you with all your signage and visual marketing needs. Whether you're starting a new business or just need a signage refresh, let Fast Signs help you. Make your statement. That's fastsigns.com.
Cars Helping Charities. Cars Helping Charities is a turnkey fundraising solution for nonprofits. Cars Helping Charities allows your nonprofit to accept vehicle donations, which are sold, and then the funds go to the organization. CHC is partnering with my nonprofit of choice, Mattersville, to help them raise funds through vehicle donations. Please consider donating your car to support Mattersville. CHC will pick up any car, an old clunker you have sitting in your driveway, or a car you just don't feel like selling anymore. Make sure to visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org.
Now let's get back to the show.
Talk a little bit about that too, like the dynamic of three owners, right? And like, I'm sure there's been times where you guys have butted heads. That's important. That's important for a business to grow, and for, you know, you guys are passionate about growing this thing.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, we have three different skill sets that complement each other, but that's also three very different types of personalities that do butt heads at times. But we all try to remember, okay, we know that, you know, I'm a little bit more organized than them. I can keep, you know, certain things a little bit more in line. Mike is a lot more on top of, you know, business things, the actual things of running a business and getting our taxes done and things like that. And so we each also have the side of the business part that we also have our skill sets in, and we make sure to lean on each other for that. So we also know that part of being in this type of partnership is that we all challenge each other. So it's not always butterflies and rainbows. We do know that we're going to challenge each other and drive each other nuts sometimes. And there's definitely been some partner meetings where we say, all right, well, maybe we'll have to table this and come back, or maybe we need to order another beer and really hash it out. And maybe cry to each other and maybe vent. We started a little session at the end of our meetings for a while. We don't do it as often anymore, but we called it unpopular opinions, where we kind of laid the groundwork of, hey, these might be topics that are going to make someone mad or make us mad or be uncomfortable to talk about. But it's things that we know that because we have 3 partners, we all have to talk about. And so we have to make sure that our guards aren't up, that we aren't getting defensive. It's just the unpopular opinions part. And we all know this is going to come up. It's our time to voice those unpopular opinions. So I think that was really helpful for us too.
We should add that segment into the show.
Yeah.
That's a great point, dude.
And just like, that would be fun to like unpopular opinions within your industry. Like,
right.
Per the guest. I know there's a show called a podcast called Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee and his ex. I think they have unpopular opinions at the end of their
show. Oh, how funny. I'll have to ask Colin if he like trademarked that.
You're so original. And then it was from Tiger Belly.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But that'd be cool. We could have Edgar over there. He'll present the questions.
It's fun because it takes you out of that, like, what everybody always wants to hear. It's shit.
It'd make for great content too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so great. You guys have been able to have those conversations and move forward as a team, because you're right. You're like, hey, we can't have our guard up because whatever it might be, people might get defensive or egos might be hurt or whatever it might be. They might have something that they've been holding on to that was said like a month ago and now gets brought up. I mean, Andrew and I, we're partners and we have those conversations all the time with each other. We have a podcast that we've grown and we have a lot of people who care and support it, which is awesome. And it's been great, but we have to have those conversations. And it's very important to have those, like if you're not having them, that's actually a problem, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think I got divorced?
Yeah.
Probably because you didn't have uncomfortable conversations.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think any healthy relationship does. And, running a business isn't always good. It's not always fun. There's shit that happens and there's real stuff that you have to think about and say, okay, maybe how do we need to pivot right now? And sometimes it's uncomfortable. So being able to find people that do challenge you, but then also you can really be open with and transparent with and comfortable with, I think is really, really important.
Oh, I love that. And one thing too that I want to talk to you about is a little bit about work-life balance. And you're an entrepreneur. You've had a business going on 6-7 years now. And I know as one myself, how hard that can be, and burning the midnight oil and being up late, up early, and doing it so long, and having a family or anything of that sort is probably a big, big challenge. So how do you find the work-life balance in your life?
It's funny. I don't think a business owner really truly finds it, to be honest. I find it some weeks and then I don't find it some weeks. I'm also just a really bad entrepreneur because I'm very ambitious and I always find things that I want to do and I never want to sit still. I always want to be busy, but then I bitch and complain when I'm too busy.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I have multiple jobs like on top of Neon Pig. I also teach at Pikes Peak State College and I also have a rental property, rental investment kind of company. And then I also ref at the volleyball place that I play at. And so I have all of these things going on. However, I've also realized that I can burn myself out and I have definitely done it. And kind of, going back to talking about losing my dad, I've lost some other really big people in my life that this has taken me several years to kind of get to and understand of like, why am I so adamant about working for myself, putting myself in the position that I'm at, having this kind of control in my life is because I want to be able to have the flexibility to be able to say, hey, I need to spend time with the people that I love right now because I know that I need to find that time. And so being able to be my own boss, even with 2 partners, we still are very flexible with each other with, hey, I've got to go do this week and I got to be with family this week and I have to drop this for my family right now. We have the flexibility because we have a great team that we can rely on for that. And then doing all of the other things, it's just setting myself up for success so that I don't have to be worrying about where's the next paycheck coming from all the time. I can make sure that I am focusing on my family. When I do shut myself off, when I do say, okay, I am done with work for this week, or I need to step away because I'm about to burn out, I truly try to completely check out. When Neon Pig first opened, I was definitely checking my emails at 5 o'clock in the morning and all weekend long. I don't do that anymore. I might work until 9 or 10 o'clock at night some days when I need to, but I've learned that if I'm out doing stuff with the people that I love, I'm not working. I'm, turning my email off. I'm not answering for clients and things like that. I want to make sure that I take that time.
It's boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I make sure that I always find something that I can do for myself at least once a week. Like I've mentioned, I'm not playing volleyball right now. I'm coming out of another ACL surgery.
Oh.
But volleyball is a really important aspect for me. Like I play every single Wednesday. Right now I'm roughing every Wednesday. That's a happy place for me. I make sure that I can, get out and run at Palmer Park do something to get my body moving. And that's my me time that I disconnect and can help recenter me to be able to, be the badass that I am at work.
Speaking of brands and marketing, is what we all do here. It's just interesting because demographic is a huge part of that. And when you said that Nike was your favorite brand, I could have almost probably, if I would have inferred, guessed that you are into sports. And it sounds like you are, like volleyball. Yeah. I think if you love Nike, you probably love sports.
You shift into that mindset. Yeah.
So it's like understanding demographics. So that's
exactly.
Just wanted to point that marketing side out.
Yeah,
there you go.
I actually teach Nike at the class that I teach at Pikes Peak State College. And I teach it. And there's this book that's called The Brand Gap. And it talks about how there is this, for a lot of marketing companies and a lot of just advertising professionals, there's this gap in leading that connection between the consumer and the brand. It's not about just selling stuff. It's about creating this loyalty. It's about digging deeper and creating this like long-term, tribal mental state. And that's what they talk. I like the way that they put that is there's this magic about Nike that makes you want to be part of the tribe. Like, I want to wear Nike because look at all these other cool people wearing Nike. You see their ads and it's all about being an underdog. And like, no matter how low you think of yourself, you can do anything that you believe in if you're wearing Nike. And so I think that that's really cool. But yeah, a lot of athletes do end up sort of slipping in that, especially if they have found themselves as an underdog. They can connect emotionally to that.
For sure. I think Elon Musk has done a very good job of that too. Like,
absolutely.
Like people who like Teslas, there's probably something.
It's a tribe.
There's a tribe for sure. It's like if Nike has sports, what does Tesla have?
Yeah, the tech guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. If it's a tech guy, you got your friend Steve.
Oh yeah,
innovators.
Exactly. Yeah, and isn't that's so awesome about brands? And like if you can figure out how to do that for your brand, like even starting small, like even if it's like a local business, maybe one of your restaurants that
absolutely
that work with you guys. Do you guys think of that? Do you guys try to put a bigger picture, like who we are?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we use something called brand archetypes.
Okay.
And this is definitely not proprietary. This is an industry that has had a ton of information and research done about it and books written about it. And it's basically identifying these kind of 12 common archetypes that we see throughout mythology, throughout art, throughout all of the history of mankind. We see these natural archetypes rising to the top. We have the jester, the funny man. We have the sage, someone who's really wise and teaching somebody and taking them under their wing. We have the hero, the underdog, fighting to the top, always being able to overcome. So there's 12 of them, and we have a session that we kind of walk through those and a questionnaire that we have them talk through that it kind of helps identify which of these do you find yourself most leaning into. And then we kind of craft a story around that archetype and how we can build that out for them. So yeah, we definitely think about that of what do we want to be perceived as by people? How do we want to be seen as a brand, but also kind of as, the friend, and what kind of personality traits do we have? And we work on communicating that.
So I think I seen you guys do T-Birds, right? Or did you?
No, we did. Okay. We haven't done work with T-Birds. Okay. No.
For some reason, I seen at the bottom of their website, I thought I said Neon Pig. For some reason, I thought it was T-Birds.
Oh, yeah. No, let's see. Jose Muldoon's, we did their website. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Of course, putting me on the spot. There's
which ones?
Well, I was just curious, like if there's a local example you had of some, if you're able to, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the ones that we've had going on for quite some time We work with Banning Lewis Ranch.
Okay.
That's great.
And yeah, they've been really cool. We didn't do their branding, but we do all of their like we do their strategic campaign. So all of their billboards and print ads. And when they came to us, their creative and their ads were really just showing pictures of their houses. And then it said, starting in the 300s, typical, neighborhood community advertising. And they said, it's fine. Honestly, like it works, Banning Lewis is exploding. They said, but we want people to not come to us for the houses. We want to sell the lifestyle. We want to sell who we are, like what Banning Lewis is, not just the houses that are here. And so we worked with them to find what kind of archetype do we want to be seen as. Theirs ended up being the neighbor, or some people call it the girl next door or the guy next door or the everyday man. Someone that's just authentically, you don't mind going next door to ask for a cup of sugar. That kind of homey, really warm, caring kind of personality. And that's the one that we identified for them. And so everything we've put out for them over the last 3 years is we don't show one house in any ad. We show moments that happen in the houses.
Yeah.
So we show a dad and a daughter having a dance party in the kitchen.
So like video stuff then.
Yeah. I'm actually going on a video shoot on Tuesday for it. Yeah.
I actually think I might know the videographer who works with Banning Lewis Ranch. I think he's in our videography co-op.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jesse.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Jason Carter?
No, not Jessica.
Okay.
Okay.
They are shifting the video now, but they've had a guy that works with them a lot for several years.
Okay, and it's a guy who lives in Banning Lewis.
Yeah, and he does a lot of drone.
Yeah, no, actually, maybe, maybe a different guy, but
yeah. But yeah, a lot of video, a lot of photography, and just really focusing on the heartfelt moments that happen in Banning Lewis, whether it be with your family or your neighbors or anything, and it's just creating that homey environment that you want to go and live in. And so, yeah, we don't show houses. We don't really show prices. In some ads, we might say these builders can offer at this price, but it's all focused on the small moments that happen. And it's amazing. They've seen the past 2 years, they have had zero inventory by the end of the year that they can sell. Like they cannot build fast enough. And that's part of, Colorado Springs growing as well. But they like this story that they're telling rather than just saying houses for this much, with like every other community is.
For sure. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you also help our good friends who are like always a part of everything we do. The Best of the West Wing Fest.
Best of the West Wing Fest.
And they're the best. So like I help them with a lot of their advertising. I was telling you before the show. But I get a lot of your assets that you know, create for them. And it's just so awesome, so branded. And I mean, talk about people who are like exemplified the brand too, because you have Flip and Maritza, they like lean into their brands too, and they are their brands. And so like every video that I see with them, when like anybody puts it together for them, it's I love it. All comes together, and it's so Colorado Springs. And talk about that experience with them.
Yeah, when they came to us, they said, we want something that is fun. We want to have this event to be something that people will drive from another state to come to. And we identified them as this jester archetype. So everything about them is about having fun, making people laugh, making people smile. And so none of the posters that we put out is just like Best of the West Wing Fest this date. It's wing, wing, wings, or let us be your wingman, or, all of these really fun chicken inspired headlines that want to make people be, come and have fun with that. And it's been so much fun working with them, just expanding from just the posters and stuff to the entire event design, doing name tags, parking signs, like every single thing has a little nuance that makes it different and unique and fun, part of that jester brand. So
well, I know in recent years you talked a little bit about it, but tell us a little bit about Little Potato Properties. What is that?
Yeah, it's something. It's a small LLC that I started just a couple of years ago. I was fortunate to buy a house in 2014 and knew when I bought it that I wanted to have real estate investment as a small piece of my portfolio, planning for retirement. I'm ambitious. My goal is to retire at like 55. So
That's pretty
we'll
cool.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And there's in no way that I have ever had this plan of being like a real estate mogul or going and buying a ton of properties or outpricing the market. My biggest goal is like, hey, I have been fortunate enough to be able to buy a house in 2014 when I was 24, and then buy another house 3 years ago when I was 30, and be able to have both of them. And I only charge rent a few $100s over my mortgage, and it's enough for me to be able to, have a property, be able to, give some of I mostly look for military families for my rentals. And I really just have the one rental right now. And then, the plan is to have maybe 2 or 3, never to, make it such a huge thing, but to create my LLC, I wanted to create, a fun name that was me. That wasn't also my name, so that, tenants can't come and track me down too easily.
And it's so funny because you incorporated like the brand into that. Small potatoes means you don't want to be big.
Exactly. I don't want to be big. I don't want this to be something that's,
even
taken
for something
over.
like you don't even want to do, like that's not even like a main thing. You still went on the brand side with it.
Yes.
Like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's just little potato properties.
Yeah.
It's not,
Little potatoes.
it's not the meat and potato property.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll talk about a little bit what's in the future for you, because you already talked a little bit about that, like retire at 55. That's a pretty big ambition, right? To have.
I'm not sure about
but
that.
It sounds like you're well on your way to doing different things, because you bought a property, like gosh, in your early to mid 20s, and you have a creative agency. Now you have a property company as well. I mean, you're an instructor we're looking at too. And you're talking about, how much an effect your professors had on your life and some of the advice that they given you. So what's kind of the goal in, I guess, the next 5 years, and then we can scale it out more for Laura?
That's hard. I mean, like I said, I feel like my entire career up to this point has been flying by the seat of my pants, and I don't see that changing. I mean, Neon Pig is kind of everything that I think all 3 of us have ever asked for or wanted in an agency. And we love the team that we have. We love the clients that we work with. And so, we don't see stopping. We definitely don't see growing a ton. We would never see ourselves over like 10 people. We feel like once you get beyond about 10 people, us as the owners have to start becoming more hands off. And we don't really want to do that, at least not yet. And so, keeping Neon Pig kind of on the trajectory of what it's at now. I have no intention to stop teaching. It is a huge passion of mine. I teach graphic design, and I teach 2 of the higher level courses at Pikes Peak State College. And so I'm having students that are getting ready to graduate and really trying to kind of round out their education. And I have found such immense just passion in helping students find their passion for the same thing that I have, and help them see it in a different light, the way that my professors had. So it's a very, very part-time thing, 1 class a semester, but that's something that I definitely foresee moving forward with. I'm hoping to be in a new house in the next 5 years. My boyfriend and I live together, and that's definitely something we want to find, sort of a dream house that we want to stay in for a while. We knew that the one that we moved in now was going to be another rental. So that's kind of as far as I've gotten. I don't know kind of what I have also learned, that life doesn't go by your plans. Every time I've made a plan, I have something blow it in my face. And so while I have ambitions and I have wants and dreams, I try not to make too like hardcore goals, because it just feels like, life is always going to throw its sidetracks for me. So, and I'm here for the ride. So
I love that. And like on a recent lesson, I had to relearn, because I feel like in life sometimes we have to relearn certain things in life, right? You're
Sure.
like, I thought I learned this 10 years ago, and I have to relearn it again. But to have fun, like with what you're doing in life, is so important. Like you can get bogged down when things are going hard in your business, but like it's important to have fun. And like even for us, like we're all friends here, like at the podcast, and my girlfriend's normally here, and our other friend Kim's normally here, and we go out to eat afterwards, like just to have that little bit of fun while we can. It goes so, and I could tell like you have fun and you smile and you laugh, and like that's so important. I mean, no wonder you want to continue at least what you're doing right now, and the trajectory is fine for you. You're not just like, oh man, like
what's next?
Yeah,
what's next?
Exactly. Do I build another team and I got to oversee people? I'm going through another level where it's a whole nother headache worth to get to another scale in your business. That's just so cool. And you guys have, I mean, your name has come up, you guys in general, and your name, Neon Pig, has come up all over the community and people I've worked with. And for me and my agency, I haven't worked with many people in Colorado Springs, but through the podcast, we hear you guys all the time, through all the business owners that we talk about, and everybody raves about you guys. And everybody also says you guys are really fun to work with. Like Maritza's like, I always just have to text my piggies, So like, again, that's branding, right? It's like, you guys probably refer to yourself as the piggies.
3 little piggies.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't intentional.
Okay.
So do you want to hear how we came up with the name Neon Pig?
Yeah. That was going to be my next question.
Because that's usually, So it's funny because we're creatives and we're in branding. And so finding a name for ourselves, we didn't know it would be so much pressure until we were trying to do it. And we had like a list of 100, 150 names, and they were fine. And we had actually then chosen one, like, fine, I guess this is the best out of, the shit that we came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down probably for 2 months designing logos and doing stuff like that for it. And we went out and got drinks as a team. This was before Neon Pig actually started, like, opened our doors. We went out with a team, and one of our designers that we knew we were bringing with us, she had, had a couple drinks, and she was just blatant with us and was like, I got to be honest with you guys. I hate the name that we chose. And we all looked at each other. We're like, so do I. And we realized that none of us were really that, stoked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, okay, tomorrow we're going to go back to the drawing board. So I was just sitting in the office and I was just brainstorming, like, okay, it's got to be something just off the wall. Look at the people that we're working with. Like, we're goofy. We have fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We take our work seriously, but not ourselves. And so I was looking at my business partner, Colin, and he had this pair of socks that has fluorescent neon colored pigs on them. And he called them his lucky socks. He would always wear them when he pitched big work, when he pitched big projects. And so I was like, it's got to be something stupid like Lucky Sock Creative or Neon Pig Creative. And he kind of looked at me and he was like, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it is pretty good. And we threw it out there, and we had 2 people that had pretty visceral, strong hate reactions towards it. And then 4 people who had visceral love for it. And we figured
that's a good sign.
Either way, it's a visceral reaction. It's not just, it's fine. And that's, what we're doing. So I'm actually wearing the socks today.
Oh, yes. Show them on the cam. If you can, I don't know.
It's
do a kickstand. Okay.
Oh my God.
Let me see if it's on the shot.
So these are the,
a little bit over this way.
I don't want to knock over
I know, the water glasses.
Oh, look at that.
These are the infamous Neon Pig socks.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Those are the Neon Pig socks.
So there's more than, like, there was like also a green pig and a yellow pig on it. So that's why it's Neon Pig. It's not like pink pig or something like that. Yeah.
Multicolored neon. Yes.
All right, we're back.
But the more we thought about it, we were like, okay, so pigs, they're kind of gross, fat and sloppy, but also they dig for truffles. They have in a lot of cultures, they do signify wealth and prosperity. You have piggy banks and put money in them. So there's, these good connotations that we can really control the narrative. And I mean, we have so many pig puns. We can't, who doesn't like bacon?
Yeah, it's true.
And then thinking of neon, it gave us a reason to get a neon sign, which we were stoked about.
Yeah.
And then thinking of the history of neon signs in advertising and just the really cool nostalgia you get from neon signs and the ideas you get from that. And so the more we thought about it, we were like, man, it's just perfect. And it embodies who we are and the fun that we like to have and the good work that we put out. And so we still to this day say that it is the best business decision that we've ever made.
That is, I actually think I have something to add. I don't know if you guys have noticed this either, but you're probably familiar with Seth Godin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big marketer.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has a book called Purple Cow.
Yep.
And so it's about being the purple cow.
Yes.
And so you guys are the neon pig, though.
Uh-huh.
So it actually
being
goes.
our own neon pig. Yeah.
It goes with the marketing aspect as well too, because the reason
Yes.
he says be the purple cow is because that stands out in someone's mind. You know,
Yeah.
like if it's we all know about cows and we see a cow, it's kind of breaking that pattern.
Exactly.
Pattern interrupt kind of going
Yeah.
on. And so I think that goes with it too as well. It's like, because that's a piece of marketing history, the purple cow. So and you guys are marketing
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the first one that has drawn that
Okay.
parallel.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
We hadn't even thought about it, and then someone else was like, "Oh, like the purple cow." We were like, "No, but yeah, I guess so."
Yeah, you guys are marketing, so
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, and a lot of times that happens too with names. I've noticed some meanings will arrive afterwards, like
Oh, absolutely.
COS Business Podcast. Some like informal variations of spelling cause
Yes,
is COS actually. So
Yep.
it's like COS Business Podcast. You know,
because
like,
business.
yeah, because business. Yeah, and we could run with that if we really wanted to put that into our branding. You know, like,
Absolutely.
and that wasn't intentional. It just came afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah, the perk of being in Colorado Springs, you know. We
Yeah,
get to-
exactly. It's a beautiful place to be.
Well, I love it. This has been such a great sit down with you. And this is actually our first time in person meeting, which is
Yes.
crazy because we run in very similar verticals and
Yes.
industries, but it's been great to sit down and really
Glad
get
it finally
to know you.
happened.
Yeah. So like if you were to, go back to Laura back in 2018, partnering up with Colin and your other what's your other partner's name again?
Michael.
Michael and Colin. What piece of advice would you give yourself 6 years ago or 7 years, whatever it was, 2018?
Gosh, that's a great question. Just don't hesitate and always think bigger. I think there was several, like the first year or two, we were so scared that we would be one of those statistics of small
Mhm.
businesses that only last for this is like 2 or 3 years, you know?
Mhm.
And so we would take on everything and say yes to really bad stuff. And we were running ourselves into the ground emotionally because we were just working so much for very little back. We started to shift about after 3 or 4 years of being open and just saying, let's go bigger. Let's do better. And just not be afraid of being charging what we know we're worth, or, doing business with the clients that we know that we want to do business. Just not be scared of that anymore. And it took us a couple years. So yeah, that's what I would tell us if we had to go back to that
Mhm.
time.
That's such a beautiful way. I have a story I tell quite often, not as much as I'm probably going to tell now, but it's very important. I worked at an agency where I had 100 clients, paid huge book, like $120,000 a month, just my book of clients.
Yeah.
And I had a team and I was at a corporate agency and it was awesome. But like we find when you have that is like you're serving so many clients, you have to serve the big boys. Right. And there's something messed up with your moral compass when you do that. And I remember it was awful. Like I remember there was a lady, she ran like a home health service and she was amazing and squeeze a button. I loved talking to her, but she was giving me everything she had. And it was like probably like $300 or $400 a month.
Yeah.
And like
Pennies on the dollar. to
I
big
wasn't
boys.
focusing like I wanted to on her because I had to make sure I had to keep the big clients happy. So my book of clients didn't get too disrupted. And she ended up going out of business. And I remember having that call with her saying like, hey, I gave my whole like pension to this and I really trusted you. And it broke my heart. And I was like,
Oh.
when I open my own agency, I'm never going to go back where I have
People
so
like
many
you.
clients because it broke. I still worry and like hurt because of that today. And like,
Mhm.
I knew right then and there that I wanted to give my clients the individualized, like definitely the attention that they really deserve, where I can wake up at 3 a.m. because I was like, hey, and call them, hey, I was thinking about you and had a dream last night. Let's try this on our campaign or whatever. And like, that's the way we should do this, right? That's the way that the creativity works and you're not stressed about so many people. And it's a hard game that we play,
Mhm.
in this industry, and you want to serve people. And if you want to be creative, like even Andrew, he's a creative just like you. That's a lot of brain power that goes into that. That's a
Mhm.
lot of passion and time that you have to spend to do that, on an ongoing basis and just really crank it out because
Yeah.
it takes so much energy, so much juice out of you. And it's just so cool to see where you guys have come and what you guys are doing, what you guys have learned all through the whole process. And I mean, you have a fan, both of us, most definitely. So
Well, that means the world to us.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it's been a blast. And I think that the one of the big things we also learned is that you talk about being creative, and we also want to find those clients that allow us to flex that creativity. We understand that we're not the perfect shop for every business. We're not we don't position ourselves as a mouse that the client controls. If you come, we want to present risky work to you. We want you to trust us with your message and to tell your story. And for some clients, and understandably, it's their business. They have ownership over it. They're not quite ready for that. And so we've kind of just learned to say no sometimes, and it's healthier for us and the client, and it saves a lot of heartache. So, but yeah.
That's really hard to do at first, right? Saying no to a client, especially when
Hardest
you're starting.
thing. Yeah.
And you might need the money when you first start too. So
it is very terrifying to say no.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And so do you feel like, you guys have grown so much and you have a good team underneath you as well? Like, how has that, as far as like leadership qualities are concerned? It sounds like you guys have great synergies at the top. You guys have been there for each other when you guys really needed it, but how's that been working with employees as well?
We try to not make it a super traditional boss employee relationship. Of course, yes, we are the partners and we are the bosses. We brought on a project manager about 4 years ago, and this was a big step for us as well, is that we were doing all of the project management and all of the new business, and then all of, writing proposals, and then all of the design and work itself. And so we finally decided to bring on a project manager. And one of our criteria was, are they going to be able to crack the whip? Like, because we are going to have to answer to them. Like, yes, technically we are still their bosses, but they also need, we understand that they manage everything in the agency going through it. And so bringing him on, and his name is Rob, and he's amazing, and he has shifted. He's the second best business decision. Yeah, Rob's awesome. Second best business decision we've made. But we have to answer to him. I mean, he kind of is our boss. And even with our other employees, we don't call them yearly reviews. We call them yearly check-ins. It's just those small things. It's like we make sure that they also have opportunities to teach us. Mike is a great teacher. So both of our other employees happen to be web developers, so they don't technically fall under me. I think that, Colin and I both lead in creative conversation. We make sure that every project has some sort of collaboration between the team. Our biggest fear is having all 6 of us kind of go home and work on our own projects and just become freelancers that happen to work for Neon Pig. Yeah. So we try to collaborate as often as possible. If we're working from home, then we make sure to do Zoom sessions for just brainstorming things, looking through. We have a weekly Thursday session called Dev Dogs, where we look at all of the development projects going through the agency, and everybody gets to share what they're doing. They'll all come with development questions, and we can talk through them together. We can kind of see the site coming together live. So that's been really cool, just to create that team culture. I mean, obviously there is a big piece of leading, but I think that my biggest thing is, in a lot of the agencies and places that I worked before, I was always told to be a leader, but then never really was given the opportunity. If I did try to be a leader, then it was shut down, or someone was always like, well, I'm the leader over you. And so now I kind of want everyone to be able to find that area where they can step into their own leadership in their own ways. And I see it happening. I just reached out to one of our developers and said, hey, I've seen you really stepping into being a leader lately. It's not even your job title, but I see you stepping into that and answering questions and doing things on your own. And I see it. And so that's another big piece that I also want to make sure is I'm telling people that I see when they're working hard, and I see when they're making progress. And I think that that's a big part of what a leader really is. It's not telling them what to do every day, but fostering them into the best person that they can be.
Boom. That's so great. Yeah, most definitely. And people will die for recognition, die for it. I learned that because I have until this year, I did a tiny house festival every single year. Big old festival.
Yeah, super fun.
My whole family helps out. My grandpa, when he was alive, he would help out in ticketing. Andrew, Edgar, everybody's there and helping in their own little way. And just it's so true. Everybody working together, and it's so important when someone's working their ass off to be like, hey, I see you. It's awesome, and it's so cool to see the growth from where you were to here you are today. And this is what I'm seeing. It means so much to them, even if they don't tell you that it does. It totally does. Because we could all remember when our boss told us that. or a professor
Absolutely.
told us that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so, yes, it's so important in building leaders.
There's a quote hanging up in our office that's from Truman Capote that says, "Whoever gave you confidence, you owe them a lot." And I've always really stuck true, like that hit me really hard when I first saw it. That's why it's still in our office. It's been there since we opened. And I just love it. I think that that's so true. Like anyone who has ever given you that flick of confidence to do something or whatever, I mean, that's the reason that, you probably went and did something big. Mike really was the person that gave me the confidence to think that we could own an agency together, and look at us now. So yeah, I love that. And I think that it's so true. And I think that everyone, especially business leaders, I think that that's the biggest thing, that we get so wrapped up in our day to day. We get so wrapped up in the networking events and the day-to-day operations and the billing and making sure that everyone's being, productive. And we forget to say, hey, what was it like when we were entry level or, mid-level? And what did we need from our leaders just to say like, hey, you are doing your job and we believe in you and here's how we want you to grow. And so that's something I think that every business leader should really make sure that they're paying attention to.
Yeah, that's so dang true. Well, before we land this plane, is there anything else on your end, Andrew?
What's your deepest, darkest secret?
My deepest, darkest
No, just
secret.
kidding.
I was like, wow.
So I'll tell you this. Other than days that I wear my neon pig socks, I never match my socks.
Oh, okay.
I have like this weird thing about matching socks. I just throw them all in the drawer.
Yeah.
And just
so if they
pick
match, it's
two
on
out.
accident.
Yes,
Okay.
but my neon pig ones always get folded together, so they
Okay.
always
Mhm.
match.
Mhm.
It's the lucky socks. It's the lucky
It's
socks.
the lucky socks.
Well, sweet. Yeah, I think this has been a great episode, and we're so happy to have you as a sponsor and to have you on the show actually too, as well too.
Yeah, well,
It's
we're
good.
stoked to be
Yeah.
a part of it. I mean, we're clearly Colorado Springs lovers,
Mhm.
and so what you guys are doing here is really, really exciting for us. Bringing the business community together in a different way.
Yeah.
Something that is not happening elsewhere in Colorado Springs. So I think that it's really cool, and we were really stoked when you guys reached out, and
That's cool.
really stoked to have the opportunity and be here. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, you want to close it out?
Yeah, this has been such a great episode. Before we let school out, that's your camera right there. Where can we find you?
Reminds me of Hot Ones. You
Yeah.
guys know Hot Ones?
That's right, yeah.
We did that for Wingfest actually.
Did you?
Well, we didn't really do a hot ones, but we had the idea. And we had
This year we have to.
They brought
Yes.
they brought in wings and we ate them on the show, but we
And then
couldn't
you got to do interviews. Yeah. I've watched way too much Hot Ones.
Yeah, it's the best. It's a great concept.
Yes. Well, you can find Neon Pig on Instagram, Facebook. We don't post a ton, but neonpig.com or neonpigcreative.com. And if you're ever looking to tell your story as a business, make your brand sizzle, you know where to find us.
All right. Well, this has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.